Welcome to day one of reading 101 essays that will change the way you think. So I gifted this book, 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna West a while ago, and it made its way back to me. And I started reading it during my personal life. I started reading it before I go to bed, but after I read the first one, after day one, I was like, this would make a good series. Reading the essay, breaking it down, saying what I agree with, what I don't agree with, whatever it is. So, welcome to day one. And this book is like 450 pages. So if you're here from day one to day 101, we're gonna get through one book together. We're gonna get through all this together. So the format is, there's a title and then what the essay is. So this is essay number 1. Subconscious behaviors that are keeping you from having the life you want. Every generation has a monoculture of sorts, a governing pattern or system of beliefs that people unconsciously accept as truth. It's easy to identify the monoculture of Germany in the 1930s or America in 1776. It's clear that what people at those times in those places accepted to be good and true, even when in reality that was certainly not always the case. The objectivity required to see the effects of present monoculture is very difficult to develop. Once you have so deeply accepted an idea as truth, it doesn't register as cultural or subjective anymore. I feel like this is super true nowadays because things that are normal to us, the culture that we accept, like partying, hookup culture, abusing alcohol, smoking, drugs, whatever it is, that's seen as okay. It's seen as good because it's the culture. So much of our inner turmoil is the result of conducting a life we don't inherently desire, only because we have accepted an inner narrative of normal and ideal without ever realizing. The fundamentals of any given monoculture tend to surround what we should be living for, nation, religion, self, whatever. And there are a number of ways in which our current system has us shooting ourselves in the feet as we try to step forward. Here, 8 of the most persuasive. I feel like the beginning of this is so true because there are a lot of things in your culture that are deemed to be normal, that are deemed to be good and the truth because of the way you're brought up, whether or not it's the way that your family conditioned you into believing certain things, your friends, whatever it is. We see all these things and we think that it's normal because it's the culture. But just because it's the culture, it's societal norms, it doesn't mean that it's actually normal. It doesn't mean that it's the life that you want or the person that you are because of normal. So this is the first one. You believe that creating your best life is a matter of deciding what you want and then going after it. But in reality, you are psychologically incapable of being able to predict what will make you happy. Your brain can only perceive what it's known. So when you choose what you want for the future, you're actually just recreating a solution or an ideal of the past. When things don't work out the way you want them to, you think you failed only because you didn't recreate something you've perceived as desirable. In reality, you likely created something better, but foreign. And your brain misinterpreted it as bad because of that. Moral of the story. Living in the moment isn't a lofty ideal reserved for Zen and enlightened. It's the only way to live a life that isn't infiltrated with illusions. It's the only thing your brain can actually comprehend. So a part that I really liked is when things don't work out the way you want them to, you think you failed only because you didn't recreate something you perceived as desirable. In reality, you likely created something better, but foreign. You think that the current situation of your life is bad because it's different. But different isn't always bad, and our brain thinks that it's bad because it's foreign, because this is something we've never experienced before, and we're so conditioned to want things repeated over and over because it's comfortable. It's comfortable for us and our lives. So when we don't recreate that feeling that we once had, and we created something different, something objectively maybe better, our brain misinterprets it because it's different, because it's foreign. So just because it's something different, just because it's not the thing that you set out to do, you set out for this life that you wanted to live, and it's not what you expected, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it's new. And something new doesn't always mean bad. It's just different. Here's the second one. You extrapolate the present moment because you believe that success is somewhere you arrive. So you are constantly trying to take a snapshot of your life and see if you can be happy in it. You convince yourself that at any given moment is representative of your life as a whole, because we're wired to believe that success is somewhere we get to. When goals are accomplished and things are completed, we're constantly measuring our present moment by how finished they are, how good an story sounds, how someone else would judge the elevator speech. We find ourselves thinking, is this all there is? Because we forget that everything is transitory, and no one single instance can summarize the whole. There is nowhere to arrive to. The only thing you're rushing towards is death. Accomplishing goals is not success. How much you expand in the process is. So this whole thing is, it's the journey and not the destination, which is true, because we will always wait. We always wait until we get there, and then I can be happy. Wait until I get this car, and then I can be happy. For myself, it's a big personal example is, I know I've affected people, and I know that I've helped people when I hit 100K on YouTube. But I've been helping people since day one. Since the first video I posted, I've been helping people. But I think when I arrive at that milestone, when I arrive at 100K subs, that's when I'll feel fulfilled. That's when I'll be happy. But it's not. So understanding that if you're like this in your life, where you're waiting for something, you're waiting for that job to be happy, you're waiting for that promotion, for that person to come along, you're waiting for a certain thing to happen in order to live your life. You're waiting when it's the journey, when it's the person that you become and not the things that you acquire. So we're on number 3, and I think there's 8 in total. Yeah, these videos are going to be long, but they're going to be helpful. Not just to you, but also to me, because I already read the first one, but all the ones after that, I didn't read. Okay, this is the third one. You assume that when it comes to following your gut instincts, happiness is good and fear and pain are bad. When you consider doing something that you truly love and are invested in, you are going to feel an influx of fear and pain, mostly because it will involve being vulnerable. Bad feelings should not always be interpreted as deterrents. They are also indicators that you are doing something frightening and worthwhile. Not wanting to do something would make you feel indifferent about it. Fear equals interest. When you consider doing something that you truly love and are invested in, you are going to feel an influx of fear and pain, mostly because it will involve being vulnerable. Bad feelings should not always be interpreted as deterrents. They're also indicators that you are doing something frightening and worthwhile. Not wanting to do something would make you feel indifferent about it. So basically it's saying that when you fear something, it's good. When you fear something, it means that you're interested in it. So doing things that you fear public speaking, that means that maybe behind that fear, there's interest. Because if you didn't fear it, then you would never be interested in it. That's what that's saying. The things that you fear, you should do. Number 4, you needlessly create problems and crises in your life because you're afraid of actually living it. Yeah, I feel like this is a huge problem in our society now. People will blow things up because you don't want to live your life. You'll create all these problems in your life. You'll overreact to things because you're afraid to actually live. The pattern of unnecessary creating crises in your life is actually an avoidance technique. It distracts you from actually having to be vulnerable or held accountable for whatever it is you're afraid of. You're never upset for the reason you think you are. At the core, your desire to create a problem is simply the fear of being who you are and living the life you want. I feel like a lot of people are like this. I see a lot of people getting so stressed out about things that don't really matter. And now it's because you don't want to live the life you are. You're afraid of the life you have, so you don't want to live it. You don't want to live it, so you're just constantly creating problems. Oh, this just happened in my life. Oh, somebody at work is causing drama and now I'm all involved in it. One of my friends, their car broke down and I need to go help them. You're creating all these problems that aren't as big as they are. You're blowing things up to keep yourself distracted, to keep yourself busy from living the life you are and being the person you are. You think that this is number 5. You think that to change your beliefs, you have to adopt a new line of thinking rather than seek experiences that make that thinking self-evident. A belief is what you know to be true because experience has made it evident to you. If you want to change your life, change your beliefs. If you want to change your beliefs, go out and have experiences that make them real to you, not the opposite way around. You think that to change your beliefs, you have to adopt a new line of thinking rather than seek experiences and make that thinking self-evident. This is just a good example is becoming the person that you want, doing the things that that person does, right? So you want to become somebody who goes to the gym consistently. You want to be that person. So you have to ask yourself, how does that person think? They think this way, they do these things, and that's what you have to do. It's the fake it until you make it, because eventually by faking becoming that person, in the process of faking it, you become that person because you're doing the things that that person does, and eventually it'll come natural to you because you're doing it so often, because you're changing the way you think and changing the way that you go about things, the way that you're living your life. If you want to become something, you have to think like that person. You want to become that person, you think like them and you do the things that they do. 6, you think problems are roadblocks to achieving what you want, when in reality, they are pathways. Marcus Aurelius summed this up well. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Simply running into a problem forces you to take action to resolve it. That action will inevitably lead you to think differently, behave differently, and choose differently. The problem becomes a catalyst for you to actualize the life you always wanted. It pushes you from your comfort zone, that's all. The problems that you face in your life, by solving them, the person you become by solving those problems. It's like, say you need to jump over something and right now you can't jump to the other side of the cliff or whatever it is. So you train, you get stronger, and you become that person who's able to jump across. And now you're stronger for it. when you saw it as a roadblock in your way, but now you're a stronger person. Your legs are stronger, you jump higher, you run faster. It's like this with everything in our life. Things that happen, the problems that we face, we become better people. You're in a waiting season of your life. You're becoming more patient. You're creating perseverance. Because if those problems never happened, you would never be this person. All the decisions that you made up to this point, all the problems that you faced, that's why you're so strong. You're so strong today because of everything that you've been through. So instead of seeing problems as roadblocks, we have to see it as pathways. 7. You think your past defines you, and worse, you think that it is an unchangeable reality when really your perception of it changes as you do. Because experience is always multidimensional. There are a variety of memories, experiences, feelings, gists you can choose to recall. And what you choose is indicative of your present state of mind. So many people get caught up in allowing the past to define them or haunt them simply because they have not evolved to the place of seeing how the past did not prevent them from achieving the life they want. It facilitated it. This doesn't mean to disregard or gloss over painful traumatic events, but simply to be able to recall them with acceptance and to be able to place them in a storyline of your personal evolution. Your past doesn't define you. The things that you've been through doesn't define you. You are only the person you are because of the things you went through. So stop replaying those moments that you think are bad. You're replaying certain moments that make you think that you're a bad person. You think that, I made so many mistakes in my past, but everything that you've been through is for a reason. Whether or not you like it or not, you have to accept it. You have to accept your past for the way it is. The person you are, everything led you up to this moment and who you are. Every decision that you've made is why you're in the place that you are. Number 8. You try to change other people, situations, and things, or you just complain / get upset about them. When anger equals self-recognition, most negative emotional reactions are you identifying a dissociated aspect of yourself. Your shadow selves are the parts of you that at some point you were conditioned to believe were not okay. So you suppress them, and you have done everything in your power not to acknowledge them. You don't actually dislike these parts of yourself, though. So when you see somebody else displaying one of these traits, it's infuriating. Not because you inherently dislike it, but because you have to fight your desire to fully integrate it into your whole consciousness. The things you love about others are the things you love about yourself. The things you hate about others are the things you cannot see in yourself. The things you love about others are the things you love about yourself. The things you hate about others are the things you cannot see in yourself. It's true, because when you see something in yourself that you've been suppressing, you hate it. You hate it because you know that that's you. You know that a part of you is like that. You see somebody being rageful and upset, you hate that because you know how it feels and you suppress it. You suppress that part of yourself, and you hate when other people display it because you have been suppressing it. You see it in another person and you ask, why can't they do as good of a job suppressing it as I do? But we need to understand that these parts of ourselves we can't suppress. We have to make them known, and we have to understand why these parts of ourselves exist. And once you identify it, once you shine some light on that shadow of yourself, then you can start getting rid of it. You can remove that part completely of your life, or you can heal through certain parts of yourself. And that's how you move forward with your life, because you're suppressing these parts of yourself when you should be bringing them to light. And it agitates you not because you dislike it, but because you have never dealt with it yourself. Because things that you see in another person may be negative qualities that you see it and it doesn't really bother you because you know that you have fully let go of it. But if you see a trait in another person and it bothers you, maybe you still have it. Maybe you still carry that with you and it's agitated by it. So that wraps up day 1 out of 101 essays that will change the way you think. Tomorrow's essay, the title is The Psychology of Daily Routine. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I'll see you tomorrow. And I hope you have a great rest of your night.